One of the challenges of living as a digital nomad, somebody that lives in different locations around the world, is that it's harder to find consulting clients. When I first became self-employed, I started out as a freelance consultant, and I did this while I was still in the US. As a background, I had 9 years experience in the strategy consulting industry, so I knew that I could do freelance consulting. I had the skills, but I was unsure about how I would actually find those projects. So I found projects the first year when I was still in the US through personal connections, basically letting people know, hey, I'm a freelance consultant now, especially people I'd be interested in working with. Now this takes a special kind of commitment. You can't just say, hey, I'm kind of testing the waters, I'm thinking of going back to full-time employment, but really saying, hey, I am serious, I'm going to be a freelance consultant, I'm doing this for the long haul. The other way I did was through talent platforms. I'll link to an article where I outline a whole bunch of different consulting platforms where you can find work. These can be challenging. A lot of times they force you to pitch and propose on projects which aren't fully scoped and may or may not be real. So sometimes you have to kind of dig through them. But I have found a couple really good projects through those. When I moved to Asia more than 2 years ago, I basically lost all my in-person consulting work and had to rely on the platforms and just connections online. An increasing way I've found consulting work, and the main focus of the consulting work I do now is through my course, which I created to help people learn the strategy consulting tools and problem-solving approaches. And I talk a lot about communication, PowerPoint slides, communicating effectively, persuasion. And I have videos out there. I have another YouTube channel talking about this. I have a lot of writing out there. So people have reached out to me directly. I've mostly relied on inbound requests from people to me and work specifically doing that. And luckily, that's something I really enjoy doing. So I've mostly focused on doing that. A couple other approaches I've used is to reach out to small consulting firms to ask them if they ever need add-on support, which a lot of them do. They're not really designed to scale up and scale down if they win a big project. You can ask other freelance consultants who often are privy to deal flow of different projects that are existing. And they'll pass things along to you because one person can usually only work on too much. The most important thing and underrated thing, I think, for me finding the projects I want to do is just writing about topics I care about. So I've written a lot about freelance talent platforms. People have reached out to me for advice and minor work around that. I write about problem solving and communication. That's led to work on that. And I write a lot about modern organizations and culture, and people have reached out to me to do work on that. So it's really an amazing time to actively communicate, say to the world, hey, I'm a freelance consultant. Here are the topics I'm excited about. That's been the best approach for me. Other people rely more on their personal network, cold calling people. I know Will Bachman, who I've interviewed on my podcast and also some YouTube videos here. He will just call people and catch up and get to know what they're dealing with. And that often leads to projects. There's so many ways, but yeah, for me, the main ones have been writing, telling people I'm a freelance consultant, and creating things I care about on topics I care about. And that often leads to people saying, oh, wow, this person knows a lot on this topic. Let's see if he can do a project for us.